What's up, guys? Justin here with a pretty insane Craigslist deal. I'm gonna have to say this is probably the best Craigslist deal that I've done all summer, and it actually kind of has a funny story to go along with it. I had seen the ad get posted on our local Craigslist. Basically, a guy was selling all of his old video game stuff. He had an NES, Super Nintendo, N64, Genesis, Gamecube, PS2, and he had a small stack of games for each system. He didn't have a whole lot of games, but there was some games for each system in there. But just the way the ad was worded, though, the guy was basically saying, you know, contact me with what game you're interested in or what system, and I'll quote you a price. So it kind of just turned me away. I figured he was just going to go directly to eBay, so I didn't really think much of the ad. I kind of just passed it up. But a couple days later, I got a call from a buddy of mine, Joel. So shout out to you, Joel. He called me, and he was on Craigslist, and he was like, "Dude, did you see that big video game lot that got posted?" He's like, "It looks like there's some pretty good stuff in there." And I told him, you know, yeah, I had seen it, but it just didn't look like something that, you know, I was going to end up with for a reasonable price. But he was like, "Well, why don't you just text the guy? You know, what's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to quote you an insane price, and you'll say no, right?" And I was like, you know, I guess he did some convincing, but eventually I did text the guy, and I asked him how much he wanted for everything he had in the ad. And he seemed kind of shocked that someone was asking, you know, inquiring about everything he had. You know, like I said, he was probably just thinking people were going to contact him interested in, you know, 1 or 2 games on a system or something like that. But he told me if I wanted everything, that he would have to take the time to price it out. And that's pretty much what I told him. I said, look, you know, if you can give me a really good bundle deal for everything, I'll definitely take it all. But if you're looking for, you know, top dollar eBay prices, I'll probably just have to pass. And he said, okay. The next day, he hits me with an offer of $190. Which is obviously a pretty significant chunk of change. I mean, that's a lot of money, but for what he had was actually a really good deal. I had quickly calculated it out in my head, and I came up with a very conservative estimate of $350, like retail for everything, probably more closer to $4 or even $450. So this was a pretty amazing deal. I was going to offer, you know, $175 if I had to go pick it up. He did live probably 25 minutes, a half hour away from me, but sure enough, he worked at a restaurant actually that was pretty close to my house. So I ended up just meeting him there on the next Monday and gave him the $190 for everything. So I'll show you guys what I got here. I'll start out with the NES stuff. So here's the system I got. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, the door here is broken off, and I swear in the picture that I saw for this that this door was on there. So I'm going to go see if that Craigslist ad is still posted and see if it has that door on it. Not that there's really much I can do about it now. Of course, I got, you know, extra tops I can throw on here, but there's the system there. It came with just one first-party controller and both the adapters here, and then it had a orange zapper gun with it as well. So I'll show the NES games. Like I said, he didn't have a whole lot of games, but he did have like a stack of games for each system. This first one here, I was very excited to see. Actually, I don't have this game from my collection yet, so I will be holding on to this one. Starship Hector. I have no idea what this game is. I've seen it before, but I've never owned it, so if this game's any good, let me know. So we got Super Mario Bros. 3, TMNT, first Turtles game. We got Tiger Heli, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, we got Mega Man 2, and finally we got Mega Man 3. So some pretty quality titles in there, as is the case with pretty much every stack of games. So I'll move on to the Super Nintendo stuff next. Here's the system here, actually in really nice shape. There's no cracks or chips anywhere in the shell that I can see. Plastic pieces in the AC port. The system is still white. That's always a plus. So that came with power adapter here, coaxial, 2 controllers. This is a first-party one here, and then this is just one of those cheapo, like, light as a feather third-party controllers that doesn't even have a name on it. I guess they were embarrassed to put this out or something. It's just blank all around. So moving on to the Super Nintendo games, though, this is honestly probably the best part of the deal right here was the Super Nintendo games. Start out with Super Mario Kart. We got Pac-Man 2: The New Adventures. Mega Man X. Very happy to see that one in there. I'm gonna have to replace the back. There was a sticker on here that I tried my best to get off before the video, but as you can see, I was very unsuccessful with that. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, the original release of the game. Probably the best game in this lot, I'd say, was Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Got Jurassic Park, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and finally for the Super Nintendo, a game I actually don't think I have this one, surprisingly, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So that was all for the Super Nintendo games. Definitely the winner, the winner of the bunch there was that stack of Super Nintendo games for sure. But there's some other quality stuff in here too. I'll move on to the Genesis stuff here. Here's a system, Model 2 system, which I was happy to see because I just picked up that Model 2 Sega CD from the Vinnies that you might have saw in, I don't know if it was our last video, one of our previous videos anyway. So that came with 2 controllers here and both adapters. And again, I was very, very happy to see that it had this adapter because just like I said before, these are impossible to find. They are like exclusive to the Model 2 Genesis, so they are pretty hard to find if you don't have one. And then on to the Genesis games, all loose cartridge and really nothing too out of this world, but we got Sonic 3D Blast, Samurai Showdown, of course you gotta have Sonic 2, right? 6-pack, we got Toy Story, Family Feud, Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition, Power Rangers the Movie. I wonder if this game's worth anything on the Genesis. I know the Super Nintendo one's probably upwards at $25 now just for the cart, so I'm curious about that one. California Games, Sonic Spinball, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, and finally we got X-Men. So that was all for the Genesis stuff there. You know, I wish some of these were in their boxes and stuff, but I wasn't going to really complain. So moving on to the, I'll go with the N64 stuff next. Here's the system here, and it's got one of these. I've never owned a system that had one of these before. It's one of these third-party expansion packs that like double as the expansion pack cover as well. As you can see, it's clearly not like official or anything. I don't know why they just didn't make these black. I guess since the original expansion packs were red, they decided to make it red. But it would have looked a hell of a lot better on the system. You know, had it just been black and maybe didn't have these grates in the top of it with the metal showing through there. But whatever, I guess it serves its duty as an expansion pack regardless of what it looks like. We also got, let's see, dropping stuff all over the place. We got both adapters here. We got a transfer pack in there. There was a third-party, Tremor pack, the Performance brand. No cover, and I'm sure these batteries are corroded as hell in there, so I'm not going to touch those. We got a couple Atomic Purple controllers here with actually like new joysticks. I'm actually surprised at that. So hopefully both those work. This one's got a performance memory card in it as well. And then finally we got a pretty heavily used gray joystick, but it probably still works actually. It's not too bad. So that was the system there. Got just a few games. I think there's only 5 N64 games in here, and honestly not a whole lot of quality stuff, but we got Ready to Rumble Boxing. I just picked up Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2 from the Vinnies not too long ago. Pokemon Snap. We got GoldenEye 007. Dark Rift. And the last one was Pokemon Stadium that has some kind of stain on the label there. So that was all for the N64 stuff. Moving on to the Gamecube. I was pretty excited to see this Gamecube in there. It is a black Gamecube system. It actually does have the Game Boy Advance player on the bottom of it. Unfortunately, the disc for that is nowhere to be found in this deal. It did not come with it, so who knows where that ended up. But I was happy to see this system because it's actually the, I believe, the original release of the Gamecube that had both the, I get them confused all the time. A component or composite, whatever the additional one was, that's the better quality one. You guys know what I'm talking about. I get them confused all the time, so I don't want to say one or the other and be wrong. But it's got both the audio-visual outputs on the back there. And then it had both adapters for it and one controller here. And then it just had actually one game that came with it, which unfortunately looks like I'm going to have to get resurfaced, but it is a pretty quality title, Mario Party 7. And from the looks of this sticker, it actually looks like it came from that local game store downtown that opened up not too long ago, so he must have bought this recently. Like I said, the disc is pretty scratched up. It's nothing deep, but it doesn't look very good. I'm sure it still plays fine, but I'll get it resurfaced anyway. And the only thing was, I didn't even know this game was coming with it, and actually these PS2 games that I'm about to show, I didn't know they were coming with it either. They were not pictured. I saw the systems in the ad, but none of the games for those systems were pictured. The one game that I didn't get that was supposed to come with the deal though was Battletoads Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo. It was like there was a front and center in the picture Battletoads and Double Dragon cartridge. That was the one I was looking forward to mostly, even though it wasn't, you know, obviously the most valuable game in the lot, but it's just one I didn't have. And turns out it wasn't, you know, I asked him about it when I picked it up. I didn't see it in there. I asked him about it. Turns out it was his like buddy's game or something, so it wasn't his to sell. But I'm probably just going to end up selling this one. I think I'm going to flip this game and then just buy myself a Battletoads Double Dragon. I'm pretty sure they probably go for about the same amount, so I'll end up with it regardless. And then I'll show the PS2 stuff real quick, if I can fit it on this table here. Alright, so a couple controllers here. I don't know what this is. It looks like one of those controllers that blows air out of it. I used to have one of these for the Gamecube, but on the other end of it, it has the PS2, and then it has USB, so I'm assuming I can use this on the PC as well. I probably won't do it, but it is compatible, it looks like. And then one official controller here, both the adapters for the system. Here's the system itself. Now, it is missing the little front part here, but if I sell this system, I mean, it's pretty beat up all around, so I'd probably just sell it as broken anyway, so that doesn't really make a huge difference. I had this like Bumblebee-looking memory card in it. It is official, though, it looks like. Oh, maybe not. Magic Gate looks like made this one, even though it, oh, maybe not. I don't know. If anyone knows if this is official or not. I mean, it says PlayStation 2, it's got the logo, but it also says Magic Gate on there, so I don't know. And then I did have actually the network adapter on the back. Doesn't feel like there's a hard drive or anything in it, but I'll take it apart anyway and just to make sure. And then he also threw in this, last thing I'll probably show, this AV switcher he kind of just threw in for free. It's got 4 different inputs or outputs, whatever, so I might put that to use. But anyway, $190 for all that. I thought was an insane deal. Like I said, I calculated it out conservatively at about $400, so maybe even a little bit more than that. Like I said, definitely the one of the better, if not the best, Craigslist deal I've done all summer. And again, I got to give a shout out to my buddy Joel for convincing me to text this guy, because like I said before, I had completely passed up the ad, just thinking it was some reseller guy, but turns out it wasn't. He was actually a pretty cool guy just looking to make a few bucks. So one more time, thank you to my buddy Joel for hooking me up with this deal, and thank you guys for sticking around and checking out the whole video, and until next time, take it easy.